NTGS educators across the state will collaboratively determine strategies with their principal or principal designee to identify methods to assess student learning in non-tested grades and subjects. This video illustrates key steps educators should follow to prepare for the goal-setting meetings at the beginning of the school year.
So as long as you have pictures for the whole process.
Each NTGS educator should prepare for the goal-setting meeting with 4 things in mind: baseline data, how to prove student learning has occurred, what target is appropriate for their particular classroom, and how their chosen target aligns with state, national, and local standards. NTGS educators should conduct initial student assessments to identify students' baseline performance within the first few weeks of school. In addition, educators should identify specific assessments or assessment strategies which will be used to increase student learning in their specific area. This combination of materials is referred to as a body of evidence to support student learning and can include off-the-shelf assessments, student work samples, and other innovative ways to illustrate growth in NTGS.
Right? Does everybody understand what I mean by that?
In the goal-setting meeting, teachers should be prepared to present a minimum of 2 student learning targets to their evaluator. At the conclusion of this meeting, the evaluator will rate the quality of student learning targets presented based on initial student assessments, indicators of success, and alignment to state, national, and local standards. The quality SLT scores is averaged with a final goal attainment score to determine teacher impact on student performance in NTGS.
Okay.
Beginning of the year conversation between educator and evaluator, which in this case is the principal, is a goal-setting conference. It is important that educators come into this meeting prepared to present rigorous student learning targets. Leaders will rate the quality of the SLTs presented to them at the onset of this meeting. As a team, the teacher and leader will then collaborate to ensure quality assessments are identified, come up with an agreed-upon method to demonstrate student progress toward the targets, and adjust student learning target goals if needed.
Good morning, Ms. Washington. I wanted to take this time to discuss with you your current learning targets based on your students' starting points and come up with an agreed-upon understanding of how you would demonstrate the student progress towards those targets through the use of assessment methods. I would then evaluate your student learning targets according to the NTGS rubric that you were provided.
Okay, well, great. I've actually been working on my student learning targets and would like for you to take a look at what I've already done this for. I'm teaching second graders PE, and according to the state standards, they should demonstrate competency in the 5 fundamental movements. I have administered the state common assessment as an initial assessment, which is aligned to this standard to determine my students' proficiency levels. I then used a rubric from the National Association for Sport and Physical Education to provide a second measure of their current level. And based on these 2 initial student assessments, as you can see, only 10% of my students are currently meeting this standard for performance for the 5 fundamental movements.
Okay, this data seems very clear. For your initial assessment, you have presented baseline evidence from multiple sources that are aligned to second grade PE standards. Let's move on to discuss the indicators of success.
Okay, the formative assessment I will use to track my students' progress is going to be based on the same core competency skills and aligned to the initial assessments that I've used. And moving forward, I plan to use the state-approved common assessment for post-test data, performance on the fitness gram, which is a national assessment, the district PE benchmark assessments, and a movement midterm that I created so I can measure the student learning of this standard.
Very good, Ms. Washington. Again, you have included multiple measures to track your student progress over the course of the year. I think this is a good start to the process. Where do you want your second graders to be at the end of the school year, and what is your growth goal?
I've set a target that 70% of my physical education students are going to exceed this standard.
Good. Well, based on your multiple initial assessments and your common assessments for indicator of success, you have earned a 5 on the NTGS rubric, which is the highest score that you can earn. Good job.
Thanks.
Good morning, Ms. Washington. I wanted to discuss with you at this time your present learning targets for your students in your second grade physical education class based on your students' starting points. I also want to come up with an agreed upon understanding of how you will demonstrate student progress towards these targets through the use of assessment methods. I will then evaluate your student learning targets according to the NTGS rubric.
Okay. I'm teaching second graders, and according to the state standard, they should demonstrate competency on 5 movement standards.
Have you administered an initial or baseline assessment for your students to get their current proficiency level on that standard?
No, I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
Okay, well, that's unfortunate because it limits what we're able to accomplish today in this meeting. Have you identified an assessment that you plan on administering as a diagnostic?
I was planning on using a checklist that I created to assess their current skill level.
Okay, that's good, but how about in addition to the checklist, you maybe get with a 5th grade PE instructor like Coach Jenkins and maybe discuss a district or state common assessment or even a national assessment that can be used in addition to your measurement.
Sure, I can try that.
Okay, great. Now let's discuss how you will track your students' progress once you've established a baseline. Have you identified what your indicators of success are going to be?
Well, I'm still working on that. However, I'm planning to use another assessment that I've created, my movement midterm, and to look at the students and assess their proficiency level.
Okay, that would be fine as one measurement of student progress. May I suggest that in addition to the movement midterm, that you administer 1 or 2 other assessments that are district or state approved. This would help improve your SLT score.
Okay, I can try that as well.
Okay, well at this point, based on your lack of pre-work and preparation, you're earning a score of 1 on the NTGS rubric.
Okay.
Now we're going to have to meet again in 1 week to discuss your SLT situation again. Thank you.